Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. On Monday, I'm sure most of you heard that there was a horrific attack by two brothers who set off bombs at the Boston Marathon. Now, it seems that these two brothers now have been identified and associated with Islamic radical groups. Now, what is particularly important for Sikhs to keep in mind is that some hate mongers in America identify Sikhs with these terrorist groups because we wear turbans and beards. So I found an article this morning which is talking about this issue. It's in the Huffington Post. Boston bombing suspect's identity sparks fear of backlash for American Muslims and Sikhs. So, what can we do about this, and how can we change this attitude of some Americans where they identify us with terrorists, Sikhs with terrorists? Well, the first thing is that we need an education program. We don't want a shooting like happened in Wisconsin back in August to happen again. We need to inform people about who Sikhs are, that we are law-abiding citizens, and that we are patriotic, and that we have families, we believe in one God, we have all those American values which most Americans believe in. Now, here were two Sikh gentlemen that were murdered about a year ago in Sacramento. They were walking, as I understand, on a street in Sacramento. They're older, retired gentlemen, and they were shot and killed. So they never caught the perpetrators of this crime. It's suspected, though, that they were people who were misinformed about Sikhs and that were just basically hate mongers. Anyway, you can see here Sikhs who served proudly for the Allies, fought against the Nazis in World War II. You can see them here carrying our Sikh triptychas, the City Guru Granth Sahib. And again here, these are Sikhs in Paris, France, where they were marching proudly to serve their country. Now, the other thing we can do, besides informing people about Sikhs, I believe, is to train for self-defense. Here's a picture of me helping junior shooters train with rifles. And I would encourage Sikhs that if you don't have self-defense weapons, that you should get a concealed weapons license so that you can meet any of these hate mongers and people who would attack Sikhs with self-defense. Here's a little speech that I gave at a recent protest march to protest the injustices done against Sikhs in India. And I talk about some of the history of Sikhs with firearms and what we need to do.
I've been involved with starting a junior rifle team there, and I would like to invite all Sikhs to come and join us. And also start a Sikh shooting team where we can learn about marksmanship and learn about how to properly defend yourselves. And even if someone is not carrying a firearm, if you learn how to defend yourself against firearms, many people don't know that you can actually block a pistol and throw it away from somebody if they're trying to attack you before they can pull the trigger. So this is something that most people don't know. But if you take a self-defense class, then you learn about these things. So again, Guru Gobind Singh gave us this hukam that we should not come before him without uncut arrow weapons. And it's clear that he used firearms. There's pictures of him using muskets and firearms. So again, please contact me. I'm on Facebook as Prasad Singh, and I can be welcome to help you help everyone with this self-defense thing. Why did you go Khalsa?
Today I want to talk a little bit about self-defense with handguns and other weapons as a result of all of these terrible shootings that have been happening in the United States. Now, especially, it's important to realize and to understand that we need to take measures to defend ourselves and our families with handguns in the wake of these horrible shootings that happened at the elementary school there in Connecticut. Now, it's a fact, unfortunately, that our society has these deranged people in it that have access to guns. And before I talk about how we can actually take specific measures to protect ourselves, I want to talk just a little bit about why this may be happening in our society. I listened to some of the news reports and to some of the other accounts of the shooting. And it seems that this young man who did the shootings was part of a broken home, and I suspect there was no worship of God or other spiritual things that were happening in his family. I have to research that some more. But my observation here in our American society is that all of these things will not change until we come back to worshiping God and to come back to the proper moral values that we should have in our families and in our society. So all of these things like global warming and other problems that we have, I believe, will be immediately solved once we get back to worshiping God and we get back to proper values. Now let's talk a little bit about the specifics about how we can protect ourselves in the meantime with firearms. I encourage people to go get a concealed weapons license. Usually, in most states, you can get these through your local sheriff's office or department. I just recently attained a concealed weapons license through the Sutter County Sheriff here in California. And I have to say that it was a very good process. I've been around firearms since I was 11 years old, and I learned a lot myself about how to do self-defense and the laws concerning self-defense and where you can and cannot carry a concealed weapon. Now, I would say that if the teachers or staff would have been, somebody at that school would have been carrying a concealed weapon or had access to a weapon that could have saved lives. Now, I carry a revolver, and the one that I choose to carry is a Smith & Wesson, although there are many other different types there. The reason for carrying a revolver is because it's easy to shoot. You don't have to load a round in the chamber, and you just draw the weapon and then shoot. Most self-defense incidences happen within 5 or 6 feet, so you're very close to the person that you're trying to stop.
the trick. And it's lightweight also. That's the other factor. You can easily conceal it. Here, as you can see, all you have to do is put on the coat. This is for men. Now, women can conceal it bigger than purse or other places, but you can see it's concealed here easily. Now, for that school situation, I think it would be appropriate for all schools and places like the Sikh Gurdwara, where there was a shooting, to have a weapon like this, a rifle. This happens to be a semi-automatic Ruger 223. It's based on the M14 that the military uses. It is capable of shooting as many as 20 or 30 rounds, and this would be good in order to hit the person in the head that was attacking if they were wearing a bulletproof vest like that deranged young man who was at the shootings there in Connecticut. If you're trained, you could easily shoot somebody in the head with this rifle. I tried out for the Olympics for five different times, and I know from experience that you could hit that person in the head if you were trained. This is another handgun that I have. It's another Smith & Wesson, again, another revolver. And you can see here that the hammer is shaved down in order to prevent any cut in the clothing or any place where it would get caught. And the sharp fires 5 shots. Now, for those that may be Sikhs that are listening to this video, I want to remind you that Guru Gobind Singh Ji, who was our 10th Sikh Guru, encouraged us to train with weapons. And he encouraged his sons, he encouraged all of the Khalsa to get trained in weapons and to be able to defend ourselves, our families, and defend those that cannot defend themselves. So it's part of our history. And if you will read the history of the Sikhs, you will see that many times the Sikhs have fought battles against oppressive the Mughals who attacked India. And but Guru Gobind Singh was compassionate as well. He wasn't just an aggressive monger. He was a true compassionate person. In fact, there's a story about how he shot arrows at the attacking Mughals, and then those with gold-pointed arrows, so that when they were found by their relatives, the relatives would have this gold in order to help them. So he was a very compassionate person. And so we want to be as compassionate as possible in this type of defense. But we have to face realities of how we can and how we must defend ourselves, and we have an obligation to defend ourselves, defend our families, and defend those who cannot or will not defend themselves. But thank you for your time, and I hope you will investigate these different options for you in getting concealed weapons and to get training and get proper training with firearms. Why would you call SAW? Why would you